Now, can we find stories of simple startups
Which will
for people in this district?
district?
Let's not go all over India. Can we just find for our local pool?
Yes, yes. Because in our city also there are many other communities living together. They have inspiring stories also how they came to this city and started their startups,
Yeah.
and now they are working very firmly in the city.
And in the process they have, some may have just given employment to 5 people, some
Yeah,
have
yeah,
given
yeah.
to 50 people, but slowly grew. So I feel this is what is media's role.
Showing the positive part of this
Yeah, that
city and
helps to build a positive attitude that
Mhm.
future is not all dark. There is a possibility that we can build our own future, and there are ways of doing it. And maybe I have something to learn from this story.
those stories.
Judge.
Everyone can see the story, and also the youngsters will get inspired.
Yeah, but they can also create their own stories as a result.
Yes.
History of, like many Muslim, it is sort of propagated that history of India started with the Mughal period, which is not true, and hardly anybody knows. So, what is the actual Sufism? I don't know.
Yes, yes.
What is the whole tradition of Sant and Sufi
Sufis also.
tradition? So, you learn about Hindu Sant, and there's been a fusion here in Marathwada and in the other parts of Maharashtra. So let's try and understand that's also history, our
Yes,
history
of
that
course.
will help us
Because
to deal with the
yes,
current
because
strife.
India was known for the land of saints and Sufis.
Yeah.
In today's world, what do you think are biggest challenge to maintain peace in South Asia?
To end the blame game,
Okay.
that is one. End the judging each other. Often our judgments are based on assumptions, not on facts. And non-communication, end the non-communication. Because we are not communicating with each other, we don't know, we have stopped understanding the other person.
हेलो हाय, मैं माजिद निज़ामी आपका वेलकम करता हूँ जनजी न्यूज़ में। आज हमारे साथ जो पर्सनालिटी हैं, शी इज़ अ वेरी रेनाउंड पर्सनालिटी, शी इज़ वुमन हु इज़ एनकरेजिंग वुमेन ऑल्सो। वो आज हमारे शहर औरंगाबाद संभाजी नगर में आए थे। हमने सोचा क्या वो हमारे शहर के जो लोग हैं इनको सुनना बड़ा पसंद करेंगे। इनकी एक लाइफ जर्नी है जिसने बहुत सारे चेंजेस लाई। मैं एक छोटा सा ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन देना चाहूँगा कि कौन है, क्या करते हैं, शी कौन से बैकग्राउंड से आते हैं, मेरे शहर के लोग इनको क्यों सुने और क्या इनके विजन है हमारे शहर के लिए और किन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट से ये आगे बढ़े। जो पर्सनैलिटी हैं ये एक राइटर भी हैं। इन्होंने एक सबसे बेहतरीन इनकी जो बुक है जो रिटे आप लोगों के सामने मैं उसका नाम मेंशन करता हूँ, जो इन्होंने एक सबसे बेहतरीन बुक रखी हुई है। इसका नाम है हीलिंग स्ट्रीम ब्रिंगिंग होप इन द आफ्टरमाथ वायलेंस। सो द नेम ऑफ द पर्सनैलिटी इज मिस सुशोभा भरवे। शी इज रनिंग एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नेम सेंटर फॉर डायलॉग एंड रिकन्सिलिएशन। इसका काम ये होता है कि जब भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है इसके बीच में एक बेंच अरेंज करना है जो डायलॉग थेरेपी पे काम करता है। आप इनको इंटरनेट पे सर्च कर सकते हो, आपको और जानकारी मिलेंगी। इन्होंने जो काम किया हुआ है एक ब्रेवरी का काम किया है। हमारे इंडिया के अंदर हमको ऐसे ही वुमेन्स चाहिए जो अदर कम्युनिटीज़ को और कम्युनिटी इंटर कम्युनिटीज़ को इंस्पायर करे एक डायलॉग थेरेपी के लिए, जहाँ पर जो भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो वो डायलॉग से सॉल्व किया जा सकता है। मैम का मानना ये है कि वायलेंस अगर किसी चीज़ से दूर हो सकता है तो वो डायलॉग से हो सकता है, और डायलॉग का मायना ये होता है कि जब वो दो कम्युनिटी के बीच में बैठकर बात हो और जो भी उनके मसले हैं उसको बेंच पे हल किया जाए। जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इसके पीछे काम करती है, मैंने जैसे कि नाम बताया आपको, सेंटर फॉर डायलॉग एंड रिकन्सिलिएशन, ये एक ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जिसका काम है प्रमोटिंग इंटर कम्युनिटी अंडरस्टैंडिंग। मैं आपको अब उन्हीं की तरफ लेके चलता हूँ, मैम के विजन्स की तरफ। मैम की जर्नी कैसी रही इससे बात करते हैं। तो आइए चलते हैं मैम के पास, मैम से बातचीत शुरू करते हैं, एक छोटा ब्रीफ कन्वर्सेशन रखते हैं जहाँ पर मैम के विजन आपके सामने आए। सो गुड इवनिंग मैम, मैं आपका वेलकम करता हूँ हमारी टीम जिंजी न्यूज़ में।
थैंक यू।
एंड हाउ आर यू मैम?
आई एम वेरी वेल।
मैम सबसे पहला मेरा सवाल ये है कि आप बहुत दिनों के बाद इस शहर में आए, तो how you feel in the city when you entered the city, how you feel the atmosphere and everything?
I came after many, many years in February 2025. So there has been a gap of several months. Um, before my return. This time I've been here for last 4 5 days. Of course, I'm new to the city in that sense, so I get lost.
Okay.
People say, names of the areas, and I say, I don't know where it is. But that's okay. That's one way of getting to know the city. And it's good to feel sometimes helpless because then you turn to people for help
Yes.
and they're very happy to help. So I'm also happy.
So, ma'am, I would like to ask you. You only give your brief information about you. Who are
Yeah,
you?
okay. Well, I'll tell you, I was born and brought up in Bombay. I did my schooling and college studies in Mumbai. And I come from a Brahmin Hindu family, but they have been very liberal minded. My uncles, chachas who were in college, university when I was growing up, 6, 7, 8 years old, I saw them bring, one uncle brought his close friend, a Muslim called
Yeah.
Badami.
Mm-hmm.
Another uncle who was part of his college's, university's volleyball team, he brought a friend of his who was a Dalit, and they were both welcomed in our home
Okay.
by my grandmother, who was in many ways orthodox. So I grew up. I
Mm-hmm.
saw these. Nobody told us that you must not bring either a Dalit into our home or a Muslim in our home. So, without actually telling us anything, this was the upbringing, of a
Okay.
more liberal minded. Although, mind you, my grandmother, father's mother, was quite orthodox. And whereas her kitchen was concerned, even we were not allowed to enter her kitchen if we had not had a bath. Mm. She was that strict, but she was generous to the point of anybody who came, she would be very happy to
Welcome.
welcome them, give her hospitality. Uh, so, although she was uneducated, she showed a far greater heart than what we find some of the most educated people with narrow outlooks are now displaying in this age. So I grew up in that, and but the locality where I stayed in Mumbai, called Hindu Colony Dadar,
Mm-hmm.
um, I went to school there, very famous school of Mumbai. It was a big school. It had a boys' branch and a girls' branch. So I was in the girls' branch, of course, and we did not have any students from other communities other than
Okay.
our own. So my first interaction with students of, girls of my age rather, from other communities, Christian, Parsi, as well as Muslim, was when I went to college.
Yeah.
And we had formed a group, and this group had Catholic. I don't think there was a Parsi girl. We, of course, several of us were Hindus, but there was also a Muslim girl called Abida. And we
Mm-hmm.
had great time together. We used to have fun together. And during one day, Abida told us, she said her relatives had come from Pakistan.
Okay.
And I suddenly looked at her, and a thought went through my mind. Oh, this was just after the 65 war, in 67. And I thought to myself, oh, she has relatives in the enemy country. I wonder why. Why are they here? Now, there was nothing in what Abida said or did to provoke this kind of suspicion in me. And in those days, I had met Rajmohan Gandhi, and he was holding these youth camps in different parts of India. And I went to two, three of these youth camps. And he used to tell us that if you want to bring, that his vision was to bring a strong, clean, and united India,
Okay.
free of corruption, free of bigotry, free of blame game, because as students we often blame the politicians and the business community for corruption,
Yes.
but we were quite happy, to copy in our examinations, or travel ticketless in the bus or in the train. It wasn't huge amounts, but that also amounted to actually corruption. It was
Yes,
part of the
yes,
corruption.
yes, yes.
So he helped us to see that when you point your finger at somebody else, there are three fingers pointing back at you. So instead of expecting those towards whom you're pointing finger, why not try and first put right what is wrong
Within
with
us.
you,
Yes.
within you? And if you do that, then you have far greater moral authority than to challenge the other people for the wrongs they are doing, to
Exactly.
the country. So this was the foundation on which I started to walk.
Okay.
Then one day I thought to myself, coming back to Abida, I'm going to these youth camps, I'm listening to these people, and I want to be part of building a new India. But here is something I have, I feel somewhere in corner of my heart suspicion and distrust towards Abida
Hmm.
when she has done no wrong either to me or to anybody else,
Anybody.
and yet I have allowed this suspicion to grow and create a barrier, in my heart. So one day I decided to apologize to Abida, and she
Okay.
was in tears and she said to me, I knew something happened, I sensed it, but I didn't know what it was. Then she proceeded to tell me how, at the time of partition
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
India
Hmm.
in 1947, part of her family was left there in Pakistan, and other part was here.
Okay.
And she said it was difficult for them to, visit one another easily. It used to be easy in the 50s, but after the war, now
Very
it has
difficult.
become very difficult. So it kind of opened my heart and my mind to on my own city, Mumbai,
Hmm. Hmm.
of
Hmm.
people who lived about whom I had known nothing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that was the beginning of my journey.
Journey.
So I started then, I went on, finished my college studies, and I started working full time with Rajmohan Gandhi and his, organization, which is today called Initiatives of Change. And there were many adventures. But in 1984, I got caught up in the anti Sikh riots following Indira Gandhi's assassination.
Okay.
And I was on a train on that day, and our train was attacked, and Sikh passengers who were in our compartment were attacked, and I tried to protect. And somehow my friend and I, barely managed to stay alive. But that whole scene of the cruelty that was displayed by by the Hindu mobs on these helpless
Hmm.
Sikh
Hmm. Hmm.
passengers was to have a very deep impact on me.
Okay.
And for the first time, I kept thinking, because I had this, idea that Hindus were non-violent and people who were not capable of such cruel violence. And there it was, face to face, seeing
Hmm. Hmm.
that
Hmm.
my community was capable of doing it. Although I had tried to protect, we are not
Yes.
able to protect. But and this disturbed me very, very great deal. Deep in my heart, I kept thinking about this, and I was in turmoil. Then one day, I had the thought that as a Hindu,
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
just as responsible for what some people from my own community had done
Hmm. Hmm.
for the violence that took place. And in any society, if there is a storm and upheaval, then every member of the society is responsible in some way or the other in contributing to building up of a situation.
Situation.
But if people do take individual responsibility, then we can prevent that storm from overtaking us.
Exactly. We can. We if people think they can make a change,
Yeah,
then the change will happen.
yeah. So very often our own indifference, भाई ये पॉलिटिक्स है, क्या करना, मुझे कोई लेना देना है
Hmm.
नहीं, मैं तो इन्वॉल्व नहीं हूँ, why bother, and get yourself exposed. Stay out of it. Even that attitude in itself is very wrong. You know, we must try to get to the root, because attitudes have a great way of multiplying and giving strength to those negative forces, because they build on our negative attitudes.
Yes.
So that was a great learning lesson for me. So
So,
I continued this,
what was the
this journey.
first thing which inspired you to work with this type of organization, peace building and
No, no.
resolution?
While all these thoughts were going through my mind, week after week, month after month, suddenly after 4 months or something, we got a message, because the Sikh passengers who were attacked, one of them had given, uh, you know, anyway, we had told them, the organization we worked with, my friend and I, and where our center was. And so we got a message in our office to say, asking about us. So my friend got very scared. I was in Delhi at the time, and I said to myself, nobody else knew our names and our address,
Okay.
organization address. This means somebody, one of them is alive.
Yes, yes. It can create a
And I
conflict.
felt deep urge to go and visit. And we had this scrap of paper on which they had scribbled their names and address, those two.
Okay.
So with that, a friend, they both lived in Kanpur. So this friend tried to look up their addresses, and they found that both the families had got caught up in the anti-Sikh riots at the time, and we could indeed go and visit. That they were there, both the families were there at that address. So I traveled and found that both those men were miraculously alive, very badly. One of them was very badly burnt. He had many, injuries, fractures, but the faces were intact
Okay.
for both of them. So as I entered their home, they were so relieved to see that I was alive.
Okay.
you know, Amazing gesture from a victim.
Victim.
Um, and in one home, the wife of one of them said to me, I said, I am deeply sorry that we were not able to save all the uh, luggage that you had bought in Bombay for your shop
Okay.
in Kanpur. It was all stolen along with our luggage also. So this man's wife said, don't ever allow that thought to cross your mind. The fact that you are alive and my husband is alive is the greatest gift from Almighty.
Exactly. Because you have,
Please remember that.
yes, because you have
And,
gone through much.
to have that kind of generous attitude, to what somebody like me, it moved me. So that night when I returned, I was traveling back to Delhi on that train. I thought to myself, I owe these people and many others like them
Okay.
to give my life for the work of healing and
Reconciliation.
reconciliation. So the book I sent you,
Mm-hmm.
the digitized book, has the story, entire story of this.
Okay.
And it is since then that I committed myself that healing and reconciliation will be my lifelong commitment now.
Okay.
So since 1984, this is the work I have
You
been
have been
doing.
doing. So it was the brief about how ma'am got the inspiration to work with the organization. मैम आगे बढ़ते हुए मेरा नेक्स्ट सवाल उसी से जुलता है कि मिलता जुलता है कि in today's world what do you think biggest challenge to maintain peace in South Asia?
To end the blame game.
Okay.
That is one. And judging each other. Often our judgments are based on assumptions,
Hmm.
not on facts. And non-communication, end the non-communication, because we are not communicating with each other, we don't know, we have stopped understanding the other person,
Yes.
or our neighboring countries, or people of neighboring countries. So this is where the dialogue comes.
Okay.
If you have a dialogue, it will help you to understand why somebody is behaving the way they are behaving. They may have good reasons, and I may not agree to all the reasons that
Yes,
they are telling me.
exactly.
I may disagree, but this does not prevent me, but it helps me to understand that behaviors are based on something, you know. And if I can understand
Mm-hmm.
what they why they are behaving the way they do, then I can make a corrective
Initiative towards the.
to change my own behavior, and also help them to understand that what their assumptions are not all correct,
Yes,
you know. But if we don't communicate, we will never know. So that is one part. Secondly, as a majority community,
mm-hmm.
and India is a bigger country in South Asia, we have far greater responsibility towards the smaller countries around us, as well as to the communities, smaller communities, minorities
Yes,
within India.
because different communities have made India India.
That's right. Yeah. And that's what our constitution says. You see, the preamble of the constitution talks about equality, liberty, equality and liberty, and it talks about fraternity. What does that mean? Equality with equal rights for
Each and everyone,
each and every one,
for every communities,
both economic, political, and personal
personal.
rights. Yeah. And fraternity means that this equality helps to bring cohesion in our society,
Yes.
and also strengthens the national security. So that word fraternity has a very big meaning,
Yes, yes. It has a
and
many
that's what.
deep meaning also.
Yeah,
Vast.
yeah,
If you, it depends on the person how he takes the meaning of that.
yeah.
So, ma'am, the can dialogue really can change the deep root of conflict?
You see, each conflict has a different source.
Yes.
Yeah, there are personal conflicts, there are community conflicts, and there are conflicts between nations. And personal conflicts are often rooted in personal bitterness and grievance against the other person in the way they have treated you unfairly.
Unfairly.
There, the side who feels aggrieved can be helped by the person who has caused that deep hurt or a wound by making an unconditional apology. But that can happen if you communicate with each other.
Yes.
Once you realize that this is what has caused the grievous injury,
Mm-hmm.
personal injury, and I have seen it and feel I am responsible for that,
Hmm.
or my community is responsible for that, I can take a step for restoration by a simple apology if it is needed, or any other steps that can help to heal that injury.
Injury.
So that is one part. Now we have in several border states of India, Kashmir, Punjab, Manipur, Nagaland, you know, there has been strife.
Yes. And many
They
conflicts
have
were.
grievance against New Delhi. And is their grievance rooted in, you know, real reasons? Delhi has been often insensitive over the decades, ignored the aspirations of Kashmiris, not given their rightful rights
Mm-hmm.
like any other Indian has. And I'm talking about
All
all
the
people of all these border states. Delhi's attitudes has often been without lack of compassion, empathy, and fair-mindedness.
okay.
And that is something, if Delhi's attitude changes, as it did during Manmohan Singh's time and during Vajpayee's government's time, Both these men and their governments had a right kind of attitude, towards
Mm-hmm.
people of these border areas, Kashmiris, for instance. Kashmiris were very happy. They look back at that time when violence came down, militancy came down, and they had hope because they felt after all these decades, because India and Pakistan were having a dialogue, perhaps Kashmir dispute would now
Now,
at last begin to be resolved.
so, ma'am, as you have been in Kashmir also and different states, I just want to ask you, what about the politics at that time at 50s, 80s, and what you see the changes in current politics? What are the differences between this?
I can't talk about 50s, but I think 50s, the government at the Indian government at the time, immediately after the aftermath
Partition.
of partition, was trying to bring the nation together, which was torn apart by terrible riots
Yes.
and violence, helping people to settle, establishing democratic norms, and drafting constitution. It was a difficult task, but they have succeeded. We are the only country so far in South Asia where our neighbors, look at our neighbors, we succeeded in getting democracy established. But we forgot in the 60s and 70s and 80s that democracy can't be taken for granted. It's an ongoing strengthening process. If you allow, you know, to take everything in your own hands
Mm-hmm.
and grab the power in your own hands, and forgetting that actually it is the citizens in any democracy who are important,
Yes.
then we begin to. So the seeds of turmoil were sown in 80s. We had terrible violence through 80s and 90s
Yes.
90s in different parts of India. And then by early 2000, from Kashmir to other different, like in Maharashtra, we had so many bomb blasts and other things. So by the decade of 2000, we were beginning to come out of that.
All that grievances and everything and the
Not
conflicts.
grievances, no, I wouldn't say grievances, but we were beginning to get over that phase of violence
Violence
and
and conflicts,
division
division.
in many ways. But we still had a long way to go. We
Ma'am,
didn't build on that.
ma'am, how to build a trust between communities which are having long conflict going on within them? So, what are the process for this?
You see, um, let's take Hindu Muslim
Okay.
conflict. As I mentioned about my experience with Abida,
Mm-hmm.
which was the foundation stone, that experience, for me to, as a foundation for trust building. I've never doubted Muslims,
Okay.
ever.
Mm-hmm.
So after that,
After that.
I've been curious. I've wanted to learn the history, and I realized in different parts of India, the Muslims have different, they speak different language. Their food is slightly different, and they have different, customs they
Customs.
followed. But I've not um, doubted them or their loyalty to India, or doubted them as Indian citizens. So I feel that this is very important. This individual relationships between individuals, which then can grow into inter-community relations, because one
Okay.
person can play a part in helping to bring two communities together,
Together.
for different things.
Different things.
And you can have a dialogue, but you can also involve both communities in different activities. There are
Celebrating each and every festival with.
that is one part of it, but there is more than that, because you see, we have common concerns
Hmm.
today. The common concerns for any Indian citizen from every community is, for the amongst the youth, unemployment issue. uh, will they get jobs? Will they be discarded because they don't belong to a particular caste group, or they don't belong to a particular religious community? And would they have money? Will they have equal opportunity? All these are common concerns. And if we, when we bring people together, can we help find, for instance, I am interested to know from young people of Aurangabad, what is their vision for Aurangabad city
Hmm.
or for their district? You have a common vision. Let's find out from Hindus and let's find out from Muslims, and let's see whether there are any common threads. Okay, if there are, out of 10 things they each say, there are even three common threads, then find out, okay, those three common threads, how can we work on that to
ये
help achieve that
अचीव
vision you have for the
यस,
city?
बिकॉज मैम का जो बताने का तरीका यही है कि चाहे हम एक शहर से बिलोंग करते हो, ये शहर के अंदर डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कम्युनिटीज है जो हमारे शहर को डेवलपमेंट की तरफ ले जाना चाहती है। मैम का कहना ये है कि लेट्स अरेंज अ टेबल एंड सेट अ विजन फॉर औरंगाबाद, अपार्ट फ्रॉम एवरीथिंग, लीव एवरीथिंग बिहाइंड। जो आजकल का यूथ है ये शहर को
No,
डेवलपमेंट
I'm
की
not
तरफ।
saying leave everything behind. That is part of us.
हम्म।
I'm not saying that leave everything behind. But how do we find common issues on which we can work together
फॉर द डेवलपमेंट
with
ऑफ द।
all the background, that we have? We will keep working on our own prejudice, we can keep working on our differences of opinion and differences of ideas. Despite that, is it possible for us to come together to work towards achieving a certain goal?
सर्टन थिंग।
Because when we work together, in the process of working together, a lot of things get sorted out. अरे,
यस।
ये तो ऐसा नहीं है, मैंने जो सोचा था, वो
जब तक
काफी खुल के बात करता है,
जब तक
इससे
बात हम।
दोस्ती हो सकती है. But if you don't talk
हम्म।
with each other, and if you don't work together, how would you know what is the other person or the from the other community is like?
व्हाट आर देयर थॉट्स विल नॉट कम आउट।
Yeah, yeah.
सो मैम, ये जो था ये आपने बताया कि कैसा ट्रस्ट बिल्डिंग हो सकता है। सो मैम, एक और एक सवाल है मेरा कि जब आप इस तरह काम कर रहे थे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को लेके, डायलॉग थ्योरी को लेके, सबसे इमोशनल क्या था जब ये सब चीज़ें हो रही थी आपके लिए, जो चैलेंजेस आपके साथ आ रहे थे, तो इमोशनली भी आप कहीं ना कहीं टूटे होंगे।
84 was an emotionally very shaking experience for me. 1984 anti-Sikh riot. I was so shaken, I thought India was about to break up,
ओके।
that India cannot survive as a country anymore, you know. And this troubled me for 2 3 months. And I remember I went with a small group to Calcutta. And then there I met a great Bengali writer and a novelist, journalist and a novelist called Gaur Kishore
गौर
Ghosh.
किशोर।
And he was very famous. He used to work with Telegraph's Bengali edition, you know. He was editor there. And so he wanted to hear of my experience of what happened in 1984, because he had heard from someone she's had a terrible experience. So I remember sitting in his home on his bed and telling him. I must have talked for hours. I was in such terrible turmoil. And he listened for hours. He didn't interrupt me with any question or any remark, just listen. And after I had finished, exhausted, telling my story of that train journey and what was going through my
द
mind,
वास्ट एक्सपीरियंस अबाउट
he
एवरीथिंग।
he said to me, he said, one blessing for India is because we are so big and we are so diverse,
एग्जैक्टली।
the entire country does not, you know, um, react in the same way to a to the same situation. He said, yes, the North India reacted violently to the Sikhs, but we didn't have such widespread violent reaction in South India or
Different states, down to
other
different southern
other
states
states.
also.
And he said that that is a good shock absorber for India,
India.
and that is a saving grace for our country. And you must never think that one situation is going to make the entire India react in the same way, and therefore breaking point will come. That point, it was for me a great relief.
Right.
But I have had similar situations in, I remember in Kashmir at different times
Okay.
during the last 2 decades, and I thought this state is not going to remain united.
Because you have experienced the Kashmir conflict also, and you have worked with Bhagalpur also. So, what quality one should have if he or she wants to work in peace building?
One must be honest about one's own um, sentiments if you're going into a conflict area
Okay.
or where there is violent strife.
Mm-hmm.
Are you free of prejudice towards both
Okay.
the victim as well as the perpetrator?
Okay.
Um, you must hate the actions of the perpetrator, but don't hate him,
Hmm.
because it's
Understand the
very
things.
important also to try and understand what made him, kill someone. What
Okay.
was it? Was it just a criminal act, or was this action rooted in some personal,
Personal.
you know,
Studying both the
threat?
parties.
No, it's not a question of studying, but non-judging. Don't have any hatred or judgment in your own hearts. Have compassion and empathy. If you don't have that, then building work is very tough.
Very
You
tough.
can't build peace. You know, um, in every situation, there are always people who play even a small role
Okay.
in helping to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
That you go in to rebuild lives as well as communities, and this one must never forget.
So, ma'am, which role should youth should play in peace building or maintaining peace in the society? What are your message for the upcoming youth?
You see, today the challenges before the youth are far, far, far greater than when I belong to that
Yes.
age group.
Yes.
And the challenges are very complex. I don't envy them.
Okay.
You have opportunities also,
Mm-hmm.
vast opportunities, but you have challenges that we never faced. And you are faced, particularly the Muslim community, you're faced with um, unemployment, uh, denial of rights for equal, opportunity for job employment, for higher studies, or you name it, so many other things. You feel politically suppressed, oppressed. You don't have freedom of expression. You are
Mm-hmm.
immediately judged,
Mm-hmm.
pounced on. You are subjected to far more violence. So it's not easy. But as I said, does everybody play a part in peace building? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe some people are only meant to continue to work and do
Mm-hmm.
their work honestly
Honestly,
and contribute to
contribute.
society that way. Um,
Being
but
honest towards the society can also
yeah,
help in
yeah,
building the
that's right.
peace building.
With honesty, without, you know, dirtying your hands with corruption, like black marketing, or, whatever.
Doing your work honestly.
Ills, yeah. So each one has different way of contributing, and I have great hope really with young people, because I've seen we have to find where are those opportunities,
If someone wants to join, you
because
are there to help them.
yeah, how can they be helped to stand on their feet and contribute?
Contribute. If uh, youngsters want to join you, how they can join you?
Well, we can think together what how we can do things together as a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
If the viewers are seeing my podcast, if they think they want to join you, they want to come under you, they want to take your guidance. So how can they apply for this?
Well, not apply, but they can be in touch with me. You can give them my email address and my phone number. But it's better they, send an email, because getting too many phone calls may be a bit
Very,
difficult. But I feel we have to end this, you know, hate-filled uh, atmosphere in our
atmosphere.
country.
So, ma'am, as you mentioned, the
But
hate filled.
everyone is welcome, because I believe everyone has a part
Yes,
in
yes.
this task.
Because India is for everyone. They have their visions for India also. Youth currently is disturbed because of the unemployment. They have good vision for the society also. They want to connect to such kind of organization where they can get a guidance to work for the society. So in the podcast, we will mention the ma'am's email address where you can email your profiles and you can join her team to work with the society to build a better, trustable, and peaceful society. Ma'am, going ahead, I have a question regarding the, as you mentioned, the hate thing. How media can play a role in maintaining peace? Currently, social media is going very vast.
Yeah, constantly you can give stories, or hope-filled stories. 2 weeks ago, hardly 2 weeks ago, there was a story of how this one journalist in Jammu,
Mm-hmm.
first, government demolished his house,
Okay.
the municipal corporation in Jammu. Have you heard that story?
Yes, yes, I have heard that
And
story.
then, so he moved to his father's house.
Hmm.
uh, Weeks later, or few months later, they also demolished his father's house.
Mm-hmm.
And a neighbor, next door neighbor, Hindu neighbor, was so moved and upset that he offered him
Hmm.
five five gunthas of land.
Yes, yes, yes.
And a Kashmiri businessman from the valley
Mm-hmm.
was so moved by the gesture of this Hindu that he offered him a one canal of
One
land.
canal of line.
Now, that story has gone so far and wide across India. And in today's hate filled atmosphere, to have individuals who are ordinary people, they're not politically or economically great, powerful
Powerful.
individuals, but they make a gesture
Hmm.
which helps you to realize humanity is
Humanity
still alive.
alive.
And I believe it is media's role to keep giving
Positive news.
such stories that give hope to people.
You think right now the current situation, youngsters need a hope.
Yeah, they have lost their hope. They're depressed, and have they don't see any future. Their future, they think, is dark. So we have to find ways of giving them hope. It may not be just one way. There may
Mm-hmm.
be many other things. um, and bring stories also from other parts of the world. We're not the only ones
Yes, yes.
who are facing this, you know.
The good night stories which will encourage the youngsters
Yeah.
for the betterment of the
Help
society.
them.
Help
I mean,
them.
there are simple things on how somebody has started. I mean, there's so many stories I'm reading now from Kashmir, for instance. Huge unemployment. They go outside and they're not given the jobs because he's a Kashmiri Muslim. So, no, no, we don't want to take you. And many of them have started, you see, startups, very interesting
Yes, yes, yes.
startups. So you find employment.
Hmm.
Now, can we find stories of simple startups
Which will
for people in this district?
district.
Let's not go all over India. Can we just find for our local pool?
Yes, yes. Because in our city also there are many other communities living together. They have inspiring stories also how they came to this city and started their startups,
Yeah,
and now they are working very
yeah,
firmly in the
yeah.
city.
And in the process, they have, some may have just given employment to 5 people, some
Yeah,
have
yeah,
given
yeah.
to 50 people, but slowly grew. So I feel this is what is media's role.
Showing
You
the
know,
positive part of this
yeah, that
city and the
builds
society.
builds you know helps to build a positive attitude that
Hmm.
future is not all dark. There is a possibility that we can build our own future, and there are ways of doing it. And maybe I have something to learn from this
Those
story.
story.
Judge.
Everyone can see the story, and also the youngsters will get inspired.
Yeah, but they can also create their own stories
Those,
as a result.
yes.
That's the
The
point.
outcome will be that only,
Yeah,
no?
yeah,
If one
absolutely.
is getting
Yes,
inspired
yes,
by the person who has put
yeah,
up a business
yeah,
in the city
yeah,
and having a dialogue with them,
yeah,
and the outcome will be that the
yeah.
person will get a employment, and he will
And create employment
create can create a employment afterward if he grows very goodly in the
slowly,
society, slowly.
slowly.
So
Yeah.
as you mentioned, slowly. So I just want to ask you, ma'am, your personal thing, that what was that thing, or what was the what should I call it, what keeps you motivate when things go slowly in peace building?
You see, at my age, looking back at my life, I have seen that when I have tried to clear my own heart of prejudice, some jealousy, some anger towards somebody, when I have got rid of that, overcome
Hmm.
that, then I also get inspiring ideas. If my
Okay.
heart is emptied of all these negative things, then it creates a space for inspired thoughts to come in.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have seen that things don't happen just all of a sudden.
Okay.
You need to have sometimes patience.
Patience.
You know,
Patience is very
2 years
important.
ago, I came to Maharashtra, and from, I was so busy with Kashmir going every month and this, and now I've suddenly found after 23 years, I've come back to Maharashtra and I felt fish out of water.
Mhm.
Where the hell have I landed? I don't know anybody in Pune. I don't know what to do. I've been so active for over 45 years, almost 50 years. What am I going to do? It really worried me. But I was patient. In Jammu Kashmir, it took me 2 years to build contacts with people, win their trust, and then from what they were saying, say, okay, you think this is what would be helpful for your society. Let's try
Mhm.
that. Somebody said we need, our young people have been um, provided training for how to use guns, but
Hmm.
nobody has given them any training in how to stop violence and how
Violence.
to build peace.
Peace.
So this group of teachers and professors from colleges, they said what we need is creating modules for peace
Hmm.
education,
Hmm.
and they worked on that.
Worked on that.
So I said, okay, if that's what you think your society needs right now, post 1990s, when you have gone through this militancy period and terrible
Hmm.
gun violence, let's work on it.
Let's work on
It
it.
was their idea. They provided the ideas for the modules to teach in that training course. So often, if we are patient and our motive is right and our hearts are searching for constructive ideas, inspiration does
That's
come.
ma'am. As you mentioned, the inspiration. We are talking about the inspiration. What do you think youth should start reading books? Because
Let them read books about all kinds of subjects.
current situation is people are wasting time on social media,
I know,
uh,
I know.
different
Yeah,
portals.
but you see, there are also very interesting books by scientists,
Okay.
um, historians like Rajmohan Gandhi.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I He gave me a book which was published last year,
Hmm.
which Harsh Mandar. Have you heard his
Yes,
name?
yes, yes. I have heard it.
He had this idea of creating a series of small, slim books
Books.
on
50 pages
different
book. 50,
points,
50, 50, 60.
on different themes in the preamble of the
Yeah.
Constitution. So Rajmohan Gandhi wrote the first one on fraternity. So I was
Fraternity.
reading it this morning, and I thought to myself, okay, let them read like that.
So,
You
ma'am,
get new insights let them history of not just the Muslim period, but South Indian history
Yes, yes.
or history before the Mughals arrived. What
Yes.
is history? You
So,
know,
ma'am, if you want to suggest books for the youngsters, so which are your favorite books you want to suggest for the
well,
people?
there's so many books I have
Few
read.
ones,
In,
few ones, one or
no, no.
two.
Like I said, this book on fraternity. It's
Fraternity.
a good one, and it's not long.
Okay.
It's a slim book, and
Mm-hmm.
you can read a few pages, and it. You want to think, you can think like that. There are books by many other authors. Now there is one book called uh, Dalpimple.
Dark Pimple. Dan Pin People.
Done. He has written the book history of the golden road or golden age. Um, it's really ancient history of India and how
Yes, yes.
India went out to the world. It's very inspiring. We should be reading such books. But that's a thick book,
Thick book.
nine
But as you
hundred.
mentioned, the 50 pages book, it's very good and you can go through on daily basis. You can read that book. Slim book.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I mean, I don't know whether you want to read it on a daily basis, but you can read it.
If,
Yeah,
if a person get into the books,
yeah.
then that
But there's so many. I mean, I can't immediately think of what books, but on the different subjects. And
different
some
subject.
people may not be interested in history; they are interested in science. But there's so
But
many
but
interesting things
right
on
now in
science.
India, everyone is interested in history only.
Yeah, but then let's give them history of properly written by people.
People, because different state, different region has a different history.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to learn the history. Right now, if you talk in the youth, like
Rajmohan Gandhi he's a historian. He's
hmm,
written a book on Punjab,
okay,
pre-partition and immediately after partition. That
okay,
whole period,
hmm.
Uh,
Covering the both the part of
yeah, but pre-partition Punjab also.
hmm.
That's a very interesting book, and
Yes, yes.
it was read a great deal on
Hmm.
both sides of the Punjab.
Okay,
Indian Punjab is very popular with the Punjabis. Then he has written a book on South Indian history.
okay,
You know, again very interesting, not very ancient, modern South Indian history.
okay.
So because Tipu Sultan is in, has become a figure of contest now.
Contest now.
Let's read some of these books to understand the history.
Yes. Then
Now,
only
uh,
the person or the people of the society will come to know who was the
yeah,
person about
yeah,
talking about it.
yeah.
And as you mentioned, because right now reading will create a thing that
But
where facts are
also, you see, I think it's very important. Unfortunately, these last few years, certain groups have think that the the history of, like many Muslim, it is sort of propagated that history of uh, India started with the Mughal period,
hmm
which is not true. They were
hmm
there before that, and hardly anybody knows. So, what is the actual Sufism?
hmm
I don't know.
yes, yes.
What is the whole tradition of Sant and Sufi
Sufis also
tradition? So, you learn about Hindu Sant, and there's been a fusion here in Marathwada
Marathwada.
and in the other parts of Maharashtra. So let's try and understand. That's also history, our
Yes, of
history that
course,
will help us to
because the
deal with the
yes,
current
because the
strife.
India was known for the land of saints and Sufis.
Yeah,
And my personal thing is that what my thoughts are, because if India has came toward development, but the basic roots of India were of saints and Sufis who has maintained the
but
peace
more
and
than that,
more than
we made great contribution towards,
the nation
science also,
also.
and lot of other inventions, which then traveled to
Different Baghdad also.
and then from Baghdad, there was another whole thing, was created, and it traveled to the west to Oxford and Cambridge universities. So it's an ongoing process.
Process.
Nobody can say we are the only ones
One
who have, contributed
contributed
to
because
this.
the time when it started, it was the exchange theory. We have exchanged thoughts also with
Yeah,
different
that's
borders
right.
also.
Yeah,
We have
art,
learned from them.
art. We
We
have
have arts. Example,
techniques of, yeah.
example, if it can take the color, the blue color, the violet color, it came from the different region.
Yeah,
Now the it's a part of a culture.
yeah.
I
So
think
you can take any, thing from, and try to trace what is the history of this.
yes, yes.
You know, the
So
paper mache of Kashmir.
yes.
Actually, the art came from Iran,
Hmm, hmm.
but it has become now Kashmiri
Kashmir,
art.
Kashmiri
You
art.
know, craft.
Like food also, the
Yeah, like food.
samosas
Yeah.
and jalebi came from different countries, and
So there
now
is no end to what you can
yes.
read. You know. Uh,
So, ma'am, in your life's journey, what was the biggest inspiration, and to whom you can give this credit?
my biggest inspiration goes to two women.
Okay.
First one is Madame Irene Law. She was a French woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she was head of 500,000 socialist women in
Mm.
France,
Okay.
pre and post Second World War.
Okay.
And during the World War, she was in resistance. Her son was in resistance. She and her husband were both, trade union people, and her son was caught and tortured by German Gestapo. And when the war ended, she burnt with the desire to kill every German and to
Okay.
see Germany destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to a place, a conference place, post Second World War in Switzerland at a big conference center. And there she came face to face with Germany. And they were amongst the first handful of Germans who had left Germany after the war to come, because Germans were hated at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, a friend organized for her to meet with a German woman. So this lady just poured out her hatred of Germany, and she said, I just have this burning desire to destroy your country. This woman listened to her, and then she quietly told her that her husband, you know, had plotted against Hitler.
Okay.
Their group was caught, and
Mm-hmm.
he was then, executed.
Executed everything up.
And her son was separated from her. And
Okay.
she said she had great difficulty tracing
Mm-hmm.
where he was sent. And she said, I, as a German, um, I'm ashamed of what my country has done to Europe and to other people.
Okay.
And I apologize as a German. She herself had,
Mm-hmm.
suffered. Her husband tried to resist Hitler and was caught and executed, and yet this German woman apologized.
Mm.
And Irene Law, the French woman, was so shaken by that. And she said, how small I am as a woman. This is this is what I wanted,
Mm.
and how small I am as a woman.
Woman.
And great change came over her. And she came to India, and I traveled with her to some
Oh.
parts of India where she spoke of this. She was never tired of relating again and again and again. Her message was, we must overcome hatred of other person, other
Yes.
people, other nation. So she was one who was a great inspiration to me. And the other person who was a great inspiration was Dr. Kariswadi.
Doctor.
She was a historian
Yes. Yes. Doctor
and a
Karaswadi.
scholar of Islamic history.
Yes.
She was brought up between First and Second World War in Palestine, where
Mm-hmm.
her husband, not her husband, sorry, her father was teaching in a school,
Mm.
very famous school of Palestine. And she grew up amidst Christian, Muslim, Jewish
Jewish.
friends. She had these friends. And then uh, before Second World War, she had finished school and she wanted to go to Oxford and
Mm.
to study Islamic history
Okay.
because of the whole Palestinian background. And her father supported her.
Mm.
So she went to Oxford, she applied, and uh, in those days, she was the first woman they allowed to study Islamic history.
Islamic history.
So she came. So she was very upset by the way the British had divided Palestine
Yes.
and whatever was happening. So she came to India in the 80s,
Okay.
and again I traveled with her to
Wow.
different parts, to
So
Hyderabad,
you
to
got the
Delhi,
chance
and
to work with both the ladies.
Kashmir also.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw her commitment to Palestinian people, but above all, to help others understand that Islam and Palestinian Muslims were not bad people, that our prejudice is wrong. And she tried through her knowledge, through lectures, through her books, she's written a number of books, and her writings, articles, to help create an understanding
between the communities,
different communities
Palestine,
of the Middle East,
and
but also help others to understand
what Palestine is going through.
Not just Palestine, others to understand Islam. Islam is not what you think is terrorism and cruelty and whatever. They are not small-minded, they are broad-minded, etc., etc. So I learned from her personal commitment to a region and to a people.
Being loyal towards the
So these
region.
two women have been my guiding
inspirations.
Yes.
So I will request my viewers also to read this personality, and you will get something or some inspiration from these two ladies. Ma'am, the last question for the current podcast is mine, that you have shared your life journey, everything, how a person can come toward the peace building and trust making in the society. What is your last message towards the young people of this country if they want to bring changes in the society? Here's my camera, and beside the camera your viewers are there who will like to listen to you.
I believe in the youth. I believe they have a great contribution to make to create a new society and new world. And each of us have a part to play in that. Don't allow hopelessness to take over your minds and your hearts and your brains. Try to look for some inspiration. It may come through an individual, it may come through a book, it may come through an article in newspapers, or it may come through a person you meet in your everyday life.
Yes.
So keep looking out for them. That may help change your life, and believe that it is possible that your lives can become different and you can become great contributors in helping to strengthen our society. That's it. I don't have any other great message really. Yeah.
So ये थे मिस सुशोभा भरवे मैम, जो हमारे शहर आए थे, और हमने उनसे एक शॉर्ट पॉडकास्ट के लिए रिक्वेस्ट की थी, और मैम की आपने एक लाइफ जर्नी सुनी और कुछ ऐसे विजन्स के बारे में मैम ने बात की, बहुत सारी चीज़ें मेंशन की। मैं सोचता हूँ कि मेरे शहर को, जो मेरे सुनने वाले हैं जनजी न्यूज़ के, मुद्दा कुर्सी के, तो वो लोग इस पॉडकास्ट को पसंद करेंगे। एक डिफरेंट पॉडकास्ट था यूथ के लिए, आने वाले विजन्स के लिए और हमारे शहर के डेवलपमेंट के लिए। मैं कोशिश ये करूँगा कि ऐसी ही पर्सनैलिटीज़ आपके सामने लाया करूँ, जिनको सुनकर आप इंस्पिरेशन लिया करें और डेवलपमेंट में यूथ का और हमारा साथ दे के इस शहर के विजन को हम पूरे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर इसको मशहूर करें, हमारे शहर को डेवलपमेंट की निगाहों से। तो जब तक के लिए मैं माजिद निज़ामी आपसे अलविदा लेता हूँ। गुड बाय, स्टे कनेक्टेड, स्टे ट्यून, लाइक एंड फॉलो एंड सब्सक्राइब। गुड इवनिंग।